Yule is very privileged that you could take some time off your busy schedule.
And it still amazes me how clear yours is, even to join a tea party for women.
More cake? Anyone?
Now you understand why I can't believe that it's true?
This isn't possible.
Can't you understand, Juana? He ran off with that stupid girl.
Yes, that's right. That woman lived across the hall from me. She had come from Tijuana looking for a Ramon, and I never thought she was actually looking for your son.
In love with Ramon.
Excuse me, who is this trying to call me with his gadget? Please, before you call me Professor Ouma, you should have a telecommunicative device. My friend, we professors, we do not walk, we locomote. We do not drive problem boxes, yani probox.
To get Professor, bonyeza star 811 star 759 hash. Dial star 811 star 759 hash.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Those three of them must be ridiculing me. They have ashamed the future emperor by escaping from the prison.
You know Dastan so well. Then why do you want to kill him?
I have done many things to get to this position. I have killed people. I have risked my own life. So what do you...
Next on.
Every day we are gonna fight. I think it's best that you forget me.
I see me. I feel love from a distance. War, come my way.
Anything that you want, oh my love, I'm gonna give you it with just two sweet reggae.
I must see close for line. I will and find time for hang out.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Oh, sweetie, what if everything we've been thinking is just a misunderstanding and something has really happened to Ramon?
I understand. I get it, Juana. You want to think that way. He's your son. Unfortunately, it's not that way. The facts say otherwise, and Ramon is not a good person. Ramon? He's wounded. We need to take him to a doctor. Help me get him to a hospital.
How are we going to do that, miss? The closest hospital is more than 2 hours by car from here.
Do you want to know what I'd really like? To disappear from this planet. I want to go far away and not have to hear about Ramon ever again in my life.
In love with Ramon.
A very good afternoon to you. Indeed, we are glad that you created time to join us on KBC Lunchtime News on the 22nd day of September, the year 2020. A lot has been happening indeed in the country. Today, it is a day that reactions still continue following the advisory that was issued by Chief Justice David Maraga to President Uhuru Kenyatta, calling on him to dissolve Parliament for failure to enact the 2/3 gender law. We'll be giving you details about what the Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, said with regards to where this advisory puts the country constitutionally speaking. Of course, we'll also be focusing on reactions that come following the preparations for the school reopening that the Ministry of Education since has ordered all teachers to report back to their working stations by Monday. Parents and of course stakeholders and key players in the education sector coming out to just share their thoughts on what they think about these particular plans by the Ministry of Education to reopen schools. We got a comprehensive news bulletin lined up for you. My name is Serfine Achieng Ouma and our sign language interpreter is Lucy Mwaura. Now let's begin straight away. Dog owners in Munyu village in Kiambu County are counting losses after at least 20 of their dogs died from a strange disease in a period of 3 weeks. The dogs have been exhibiting diarrhea, fever, vomiting, deep coughs and loss of appetite before succumbing to what remains an unknown disease. Let's get that report.
It is said to be a man's best friend, so when due to an unexplained reasons, 20 of these canines, all from the same area, exhibit similar symptoms and die soon after, then there is enough reason for man to be worried.
Nimekuwa hapa na ile ugonjwa nimeona hapa ya umbwa haijaonekana hapa Munyu. Symptoms inaanza kukohoa. Kutoka kukohoa ina lose appetite. Ina lose appetite na inarara sana. Alafu inaanza kutapika na kukunywa maji sana. Inatapika maji peke yake bila kitu, bila chakula kwa sababu haikuri. Tunaomba watupatie madaktari wakuje hapa waangalie hii ugonjwa ya aina gani.
It is this unusual occurrence that dog owners in Munyu village, Thika East, has left them wondering what is ailing their dogs. Michael Karanja, whose 2 dogs succumbed to the unknown disease less than a week ago, said that the canines have been developing fever, weakness and lack of appetite.
Ya isi umbwa ni saa ingine ukipea chakula unaona haitaki kukula. After that unaona tu inakaa tu kama inararara. Kutoka hapo sasa ikirara unakuta sasa imekufa.
Karanja said that the animals have been very useful in the fight against cattle theft that is rampant in the area, adding that their abrupt death has left them vulnerable. Residents say despite raising the matter with relevant authorities, nothing has been done to tame the situation. They're now calling on government's veterinary officers to come to their aid to help save their dogs from extinction.
Tunahofia sana juu kwetu tumefuga buzi, kuna kuku, kuna hata ng'ombe, hata vile watoto wetu. Juu tumezoea sisi, unajua kwa mbwa kawaida yake huwa ni rafiki ya binadamu. Kwa hivyo tunahofia huyu mbwa anaweza kuja kwako alafu akuambukize magonjwa kwa maana hiyo makamasi yenye anatoa hata panguza ndio akuje kwako.
Caroline Kamau reporting for Channel 1 Lunchtime News.
And meanwhile, the Kenya Coast Guard has destroyed illegal fishing gear at the port of Victoria in Busia County. The fishermen were warned against violating the marine laws in Busia and Siaya County. This development coming as the Chief Executive Secretary in the State Department of Fisheries and Blue Economy, JB Kilimo, urged Kenyan fishermen to use the right fishing gear to avoid constant conflict with security officers.
The Kenya Coast Guard has destroyed illegal fishing gear worth 2 million shillings at Port Victoria, Busia County. The illegal fishing gear was seized between 8th and 27 July this year, following a court order that was issued by Busia Law Court.
Tumechoma baada ya kupata court order nyavu za aina mbalimbali 26 ya dhamana ya milioni 2.
Leading the operation, Captain Jotham Ondera faulted the fishermen for practicing unregulated fishing in Lake Victoria and warned the fishermen against violating the marine laws in Busia and Siaya County.
Napenda kuwauliza wavuvi wetu wahakikishe kwamba wanatumia nyavu ambazo zinalingana na sheria ya uvuvi. Maana officers wetu watafanya kazi hii kila siku na watahakikisha kwamba wale ambao hawafuati sheria watashikwa na watashtakiwa kulingana na sheria.
Na mnyinyi pia mmeshuhudia hizi nets ni duni. Kwa hivyo tungependa ujumbe iende huko nje, wanunue net nzuri na wapoe samaki penye inatakikana, wasikuje mahali penye samaki inataga mayai or penye inalindwa.
Odera cautioned those who will be found culpable, saying they will not be spared on the laws protecting illegal fishing in the lake.
Going forward, tutaendelea kufanya hii kazi mara kwa mara. Kuhakikisha kwamba uvuvi haramu imeondolewa kwa maji yetu ya Kenya.
And amid this development, the Chief Executive Secretary in the State Department of Fisheries and Blue Economy, GB Kilimo, has urged the Kenyan fishermen to use the right fishing gear to avoid constant conflict between them and the security officers from Tanzania and Uganda.
When they're being arrested for using the wrong gears, they should actually say it's because of using the wrong gears. At the end of the day, ours as a government is to protect our fishermen also, so that they are not harassed by our neighbors.
Kilimo, who was speaking at Opapo Fish Processing Plant, said the fish population in Lake Victoria is reducing because of bad fishing methods. The CAS also urged the people of Migori and Kenya as a whole to embrace aquaculture to help bridge the fish inadequacy gap in the country. For Channel 1 News, I'm Emily K. Bade.
Thank you, Emily, for that report. Now, it's just a day since the Chief Justice, David Maraga, issued an advisory to President Uhuru Kenyatta to dissolve Parliament. Reactions are still coming in from leaders. The Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, this morning said that this is actually a recipe that may plunge the country into a constitutional crisis. We now cross over to Parliament to just get a cocktail of what some of the lawmakers have to say following this advisory.
Ask Kenyans again, are we willing to have an extra burden through the implementation of the 2/3 gender rule? And we go in and ask amongst many other issues that Kenyans had raised during the BBI collection process. If the feedback that we have had so far, and I can tell you, even on the floor of the House, female members of Parliament have voted against this thing. We have achieved this thing progressively. Look at last Parliament, people like Aisha Juma were women reps. In this Parliament, they are members of single constituencies. It means they have worked hard to be there. Look at Millie Odhiambo. She was a nominated member of Parliament. She has now been a member of Parliament elected, competing with men for 2 terms. So this thing has to be progressive. Look at governors. In the first term, we didn't have female governors. Now we have 2. So this thing is going to be progressive. This constitution says that the sovereign power remains with the people. Members of Parliament don't vote for their own colleagues to come to this house. So even if we went back, you will not force the people of Uriri to vote for a female member if they want me to come back to this house. So me, I think this thing is, let's go to the referendum. Let's shut it down. Kila mtu apambane na hali yake. But the president, you now have the opportunity to fast track the issue of the referendum so that we deal with all these things once and for all. Ndio hii kelele mingi ya wanasiasa sasa imeanza hapa, tumalizane nayo round 1, tufanye referendum, kazi iendelee mbele.
Thank you. I think let me say that the Chief Justice is bitter because his tour of duty has come to an end prematurely. And I'm told that he's interested in joining National Assembly. But I want to urge him to wait for 2022 so that he can come and join National Assembly. But anyway, on a more serious note, let me say that I don't believe that we should actually have this gender thing, 2/3 gender thing in law. And that's the reason why I continuously voted no against the passage of that law. And so if the president feels that we should all go home, I think I'm ready. I'm ready to go back to the voters and tell them that I'm back because I refuse to allow more slave queens into Parliament. But I also would like to say that the Chief Justice is not a team player, because you cannot begin to advise the president to dissolve Parliament even before you consult, because the 3 arms of government really needs to consult. And he's even saying in his statement that he knows the times are hard, but the cost of democracy requires that we have to go home. So I think this country had, I think, one of the worst Chief Justices in the manner in which he employed arrogance and trying to work on his own. and etc. But I think that for me as a member of parliament, I'm ready to go back to the voters because anyway, I'm always with them. Every week, I'm always with them, and I think they're going to bring me back. So, but I would really urge the president, I'm not the president, but if I were the president, I would actually dissolve parliament, whatever the circumstances. Because you've seen the kind of politics that is going on, you know, a lot of noise making, a lot of, you know, tanga, all this manner of people, you know, groups of politicians who are, you know, who are fighting for a war, you know. So I think the president, I don't know, okay, I'm not your advisor, I'm not the Attorney General, I'm not your PS, but I think you should dissolve parliament so that all these keleles can end. We want to see how far this group of politicians allied to William Ruto, how far they can go. And I want to see if they really can come back and fight for this war, this battle, and we're ready for them. Thank you.
All right, that is just a section of lawmakers giving their reactions following the advisory that was issued by the Chief Justice David Maraga to President Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday to dissolve Parliament. A lot of that is going to be shaping the news in the coming days and throughout the day, and we will be updating you on more about what this advisory has stirred, coming not just from the political front but also among Kenyans as well. We are also tracking quite a number of stories for you, and today actually there was that presentation by the Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, who talked about this very key subject, saying that this actually could plunge the country into a constitutional crisis. And we saw him earlier also yesterday issuing a statement with regards to, in case Parliament is dissolved and we opt to go into a by-election in this country, according to the Speaker of the National Assembly, this is an expensive affair, and he did not see any reason why that ought to justify why we should engage in this particular exercise. So we will just be, following up this particular matter for you. But for now, it's a matter of wait and see to see which direction President Uhuru Kenyatta is going to take with regards to the dissolution of Parliament. It's not the first time this is happening in the country, and in as much as it is a rare occurrence, it is something that is constitutional and may just happen. So it's a matter of wait and see, and even how this is going to impact the political landscape going forward. Allow us now to take a very short break right here on KBC Lunchtime News, but when we come back, we still have more that we have lined up for you, so stay with us.
When the world changed, it made us go back to the simple joys and love the little things even more, like serving up your best, eating together, and sharing more. Now, we'll take nothing for granted and always remember to taste the simple joys. Coca-Cola, taste the simple joys.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
The boy deserves the truth.
Wewe hujui chochote kuhusu sugarcoat ukweli.
Nimechoka na uongo.
Something's not right about that relationship, if I can call it that.
So is it mean interested kuhusu relationship yetu, if I can call it that?
I should pay Connor a visit.
Why would you do that? What do you aim to achieve? Ma, please calm down and tell me exactly what happened.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Oh, sweetie, what if everything we've been thinking is just a misunderstanding and something has really happened to Ramon?
I understand. I get it, Juana. You want to think that way. He's your son. Unfortunately, it's not that way. The facts say otherwise, and Ramon is not a good person. Ramon? He's wounded. We need to take him to a doctor. Help me get him to a hospital.
How are we going to do that, miss? The closest hospital is more than 2 hours by car from here.
Do you want to know what I'd really like? To disappear from...
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. Now today also the Kenya Film Classification Board had a forum to basically assess how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected the film industry and generally the creative sector in the country. A forum that provided an opportunity to also discuss how to ensure continuity of business in the creative sector post-COVID-19. Joining us now live from Hilton Gardens in Machakos County is none other than Yusuf Farah to give us more details of what came out of this particular meeting. A very good afternoon, Yusuf. What do you have for us with regards to the plans by the Kenya Film Classification Board?
Good afternoon, Serfine. We are at the Hilton Gardens Hotel in Machakos County, where the KFCB is meeting to deliberate on matters as far as COVID-19 business model is concerned, so as to revamp the film industry in the country. Now, joining me is Board CEO Dr. Ezekiel Mutua, who will be explaining to us the plans they have as far as the meeting today is concerned. Dr. Ezekiel, welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. And we are so glad to have the national broadcaster, Channel 1, here with us. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity. As you all know, the pandemic has affected many sectors of the economy globally and here in Kenya as well. And there's no sector that has been as badly affected like the creative economy, which we regulate, the film industry, drama, film festivals, music, and so on, which rely on social gatherings and crowds to make their money. Since the COVID started, we are estimating that about 2 billion has been lost. But because of the films that were to come to Kenya that would have brought a lot of money, we estimate that if we were to get all the film that were to come to Kenya, probably this loss would go to upwards of 10 billion. Additionally, we end to have our cinema theaters closed. You know, we have eight major cinema theaters across the country, from Nyali, IMAX in Mombasa, 20th Century, all the ones that operate here in Nairobi and Kisumu. They have been closed, 300 jobs lost within that period, and about $500 million Kenya shillings in terms of revenue. So we are here now to discuss how do we get the industry to bounce back? How do we facilitate as a government ease of doing business so that when the protocols are relaxed or the economy is opened by His Excellency the President, when that happens, we will be ready as an industry to provide ease of doing business, create a facilitative environment for the industry to bounce back. So here we are discussing post-COVID-19 business strategy for the film industry and the creative economy. And the idea is to ensure that both development and regulation are discussed in the same wavelength, so that we do not allow development that is not regulated, particularly now that our children have access to technology, or there's more content online that is likely to undermine their moral values, so that we are balancing between content development and regulation of content to protect children from exposure to harmful content. But we're also saying COVID-19 as a silver lining. Because of the lockdown globally, and because there will be no much interaction immediately, we are now targeting promoting local content and encouraging consumption of local content. We are picking the model on Nollywood, and that's why we have Dr. Wale here from Nigeria, so that we can be able to synchronize with the model in Kenya and Nigeria. Nigeria established Nollywood, and Nollywood grew so fast to become the second highest earner of GDP in that country, because they consume their local content. They tell their own story. They thrive in their culture. If you blindfold somebody here and you throw them or you drop them in Nigeria, any part of Nigeria, you'll know that they're in Nigeria. Even when, Dr. Wale, when you look at the way he's dressed, you can see these are Nigerian. Not with us. We have been for far too long taken over by the globalization that we forgot our culture. And now we are telling our people, focus on our stories, on our culture, on our heritage, on our wildlife, on our fauna and flora, the beauty of this country, the untold stories about our people, our heroes, and let us create content that speaks about these values. But more importantly, that also is safe for consumption by our children, that it will not destroy their morals and destroy their values as they grow up. Then most importantly, we are saying because of the COVID protocols, because there could be another wave, you never know, God forbid, But because we can't relax completely, we will still have to keep social distance and wear masks and so on. We want to open new models of cinema going that is not restricted to a theater, where we can do drive-ins like we'll be doing this weekend, where CS Musheru is leading Kenyans to the Galleria to watch a film done by our local filmmakers called Uradi that will be showing there. And it will, between 25th, 26th, and 27th, all roads lead to Galleria, where we are opening a new model of cinema going that is not closed door, but which is open. And we are hoping that working with the county governments, we are going to create mobile cinema units under our Cinema Mashinani, and working with KBC and the Studio Mashinani, that will take films to the people, films for the people, by the people, and open up studios, and with those mobile vans, be able to distribute content and let our people watch content in open air spaces, in the market, in school fields, in churches, so that we can promote the culture going. Because now blockbusters are not coming to Kenya as they used to be. Remember, we were to have blockbusters coming in March. That was postponed to May. May became July, and to date, we have not opened up the global blockbusters that are watched in the cinema theaters. What we are thinking is, thinking globally and acting locally will be the new model. Using technology to spur economic growth, especially in this sector, in terms of content creation, distribution, broadcasting, and exhibition, using technology will be the way to go. And then supporting our youth and creating incentives that will ensure that people are able to monetize their content online and make money through TikTok, through YouTube, through platforms that are coming up. But as they do so, do it in a clean way, that it doesn't have to be dirty. We don't have to have immoral, obscene content for it to sell. We are learning from a simple song by Master KG from South Africa called Jerusalema that has become a global craze, that you can create nice, simple content that makes you very popular, and it doesn't have to be dirty for you to become famous because you're singing dirty things. This is what we want to encourage our local creatives to do. So this meeting here, the next 2 days, we are discussing film development and film regulation. But we're also tying our approach to the national task force that has been set up by the Minister for ICT, Mr. Joe Musheru, that is going to develop a national film policy by December. We are aligning our thinking to the Kenya Film Commission, to the Communications Authority of Kenya, to KBC, to Film Department of Film Services, and all the other sectors are involved in this, in the regulation of this sector, to ensure that we have a national film policy that will create incentives and attract global big films that will be done in Kenya, so that Kenya can become a competitive film destination.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Ezekiel Mutua. Nice having you on the show today.
Thank you very much.
Well, there you have it, Serfine, the plans that are set to revamp the industry, thinking globally but acting locally. We will be informing our viewers in our subsequent bulletins, but for now, it's back to you in studio.
Thank you so much, Yusuf Farah, for that update. Farah is speaking to the CEO of the Kenya Film Classification Board, Dr. Ezekiel Mutua, on plans that the board has to just revamp the film industry, the creative industry in our country that has been vastly affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, talking about job losses and losses that account to billions of shillings that the country has lost just since the outbreak of COVID-19 we witness it in the country. We will be giving you details about this two-day meeting that actually is being hosted in collaboration with the Ministry of ICT as we progress. Now we want to move on. At least 64,000 guns are owned illegally in the coast region. The Kenya National Focal Point says despite the efforts to sensitize people on the importance of surrendering small guns and light weapons to the government, a number of Kenyans are still holding illegal firearms.
According to the Kenya National Focal Point Deputy Director Charles Munyoli, the instability in the neighboring countries create a fertile ground for the proliferation of small arms in the country. Speaking in Hola, Munyoli said the illegal possession of firearms has catalyzed the emergence of youthful militia in the coast region.
It is estimated over 64,000 firearms are within the regions and in the wrong hands. So it is our expectation, because these firearms are coming in every other day, bearing in mind our neighbors have not been very stable. So we get them in every other day.
The deputy director further urged those with illegal guns to always take the advantage of the amnesty period to surrender arms.
Our aim of coming here was to come and sensitize the people of Coast Region on the importance of surrendering illegally owned small arms and light weapons.
However, activists, community leaders and religious leaders blamed the police manning road barriers of facilitating the supply of weapons across the country. According to reports by the Kenya National Focal Point on Small Arms and Light Weapons, more than 40 million guns are in wrong hands in the country, hence threatening peace. The organization seeks to collect more than 15 million guns by the end of the year through a voluntary process. Beatrice Gatonyengetich, Channel 1 News.
All right, talking about surrendering illegal firearms and matter security, we stay in the coastal region, and now joining us live is our reporter Ann Mburu, just to talk to us about efforts to counter terrorism in the coastal region. A very good afternoon, Ann. All right, I'm informed we still cannot be able to connect with Ann Mburu, but we'll be trying to make sure that we get a clear signal and do that as we proceed. But now we want to focus on other matters, and this touch on the Matatu ban in Nakuru County. Matatu operators in Nakuru town are up in arms following a decision by the county government to permanently ban them from the town's central business district. They allege they were not consulted, saying their revenues have dwindled since their relocation out of the CBD.
In April, the County COVID-19 Response Committee created 3 new stages and relocated the Matatus to decongest the CBD as per Ministry of Health guidelines. Governor Lake Nyanjui last week stated that the Matatus would not return to the CBD, a move he says would decongest, expand and grow the town. However, the operators have threatened to force their way back, lamenting the poor state of roads and environment. They complain that the roads were often impassable when it rains, and the flooding often causes a traffic snarl-up along the hospital route.
Mahali tuko tunaumia sana. Hii stage ambayo tumewekwa hii hapa kwa Jack na Kingdom Sika ni stage ambazo zinatumiza sana. Hata kila mtu anaona wakati mvua inanyesha vile tunaumia. So tulikuwa tunaomba our governor kama anaweza kutukubalisha turudisha magari za town service kule town ndani.
Tunataka matatu zirejeshwe CBD, na kama haitarejeshwa yote kuwa na mpangilio fulani, kwa sababu hawa naamini kwamba hawajakaidi njia yoyote ya kuweza kuleta matatu kwenye CBD.
The operators noted that they have lost a lot of customers who have opted to find other routes to their destinations, and added that despite being the biggest contributor to the county's revenue, their numerous calls to the county government to have them back to town has been ignored.
Kurudisha watu stage, usipowarudisha tutakuacha huko na gari zako za county, uokote chenye utaokota huko pesa. Tuta-advise our matatu industry wacheni kulipa sticker, governor arani hii county venye anataka. By Monday tuongee na owners wa matatu, sisi vijana hatutatumiwa, tukae nyumbani, hatuwezi fanya kazi bila malipo.
The operators have been decrying poor infrastructure and lack of essential services such as toilets, water and sheds at the 3 new stages.
Mimi namuomba akiwa huko kwa ofisi, akuje tu na gari yake aingie kwa hizi stage. Abada ile shida sisi tunapitia tukiwa madereva. Mashimo yenye iko huku gari yake hata hiyo yake haiwezi pitia. Tunamuomba akuje hapa. Alafu anyeshewe venye tunanyeshewa. Hakuna mahali watu wanaweza ingia ama kujikinga mvua. Watu wanaingia tu kwa magari. Mtu anaomba choo, hakuna mahali ya kuingia choo.
For Channel 1 News, I'm Emily K. Badi.
And now we are joined by Ann Mburu, coming to us live from Mombasa with an update on the security situation, specifically talking about the ongoing efforts to counter terrorism in the coastal region. A very good afternoon, Ann. What do you have for us?
It is indeed a good afternoon to you, Serfine Achieng in Broadcasting House, and we're coming live to you from Travelers Beach Hotel in Mombasa County, where we have a few stakeholders who are holed up here for 2 days discussing how to counter violent extremism in Mombasa County. You've seen that most of the youth in Mombasa County have been engaging in criminal activities, and today, right now, I'm being joined by the County Commissioner, Gilbert Kitio, who's just going to tell us exactly what his people are doing to ensure that these youth do not engage in criminal activities in Mombasa County. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate for this forum to speak to you. Now, today we have congregated here as a multi-agency team to try and see how we can build teamwork in as far as violent extremism is concerned. Now, we have a number of programs which are running within Mombasa County to try and prevent the youth from joining these violent groups. Some of them are long-term, some are short-term. The short-term ones, we have the Kazi Mtaani, where we have engaged about 16,200 youth. And we also have a program to supply food. You know, nowadays we don't give the physical food. We give out 1,000 shillings per week to a household, and we are giving about 36,000, 1,000 shillings to a number of households. So these ones are meant to cushion them in as far as food is concerned. Then we have the long-term programs which are being administered by partners, the CSOs and the NGOs, like the International Migration Organization, Aki Africa and others, whereby youth are given alternative ways of survival. That way it will keep them from being idle, and they can also have something at their table. So we have a number of programs which are going on, apart from the normal enforcement of the law.
We have seen that some of the youth in this county have improvised ways on how they do their criminal activities. So what is the County Commissioner of Mombasa doing about it?
Yeah, you know, criminals also, they keep learning. When they saw the masks, some of them started donning the masks and capes to disguise themselves. Others started using other gadgets here and there just to disguise themselves. But you know, at the end of the day, we are also learning what they are doing, and we are also improving on our techniques on countering some of these things. So it is something which is ongoing, we can say, because they keep coming with the new tricks. We also come up with new ways of dealing with them. You know, Mombasa is an urban city, and the youth in crime, they are also very creative, but we are equally creative. That's why we have managed to contain the situation up to this moment. Yes.
Right now, I'll also be joined by a representative of the ODPP office, who's just going to tell me exactly what are some of the challenges they face, especially when they get to arrest this youth and they're taken to court. Karibu sana.
I think one of the biggest challenges we experience as prosecution is failure by people who witnessed some of these crimes come forward to testify against the perpetrators of some of these crimes that we're talking about. And so the programs that the County Commissioner has just talked about, programs such as this program spearheaded by ODPP and Haki Africa, which brings together the justice actors within this region, are just meant to discuss some of the interventions and how we can surmount some of the challenges that we face in handling some of this. The ultimate goal is to create trust between these justice actors and the public, and we are hopeful that with that trust we'll be able to see more people volunteering to come and give evidence, and more people accessing justice, because this is one of the things that the youth are really aggrieved about.
So that is all we have for you this afternoon. We'll give you a full report in our 7 and 9 bulletin. Back to you in studio, Serfine.
Thank you so much, Anne Buru, for that particular update on the security situation and ongoing efforts just to beef up security in the coastal region, a meeting that will take 2 days among other issues that are going to be discussed there. We now want to still focus on more security issues, and 2 families in Kayole are seeking justice for their kin who were allegedly murdered in cold blood in Kayole. The two 24-year-old Joseph Maingi and 23-year-old Dennis Nyabuto, who were a staff at the building, were reportedly stabbed to death by two men after a short argument. The families of the victims say despite their assailants being well known, no arrests have been made so far. Caroline Kamau brings us details of this incident and other related incidences from across the country.
From the office down the stairs,
The incident that happened Thursday last week in Kayole's Nasra estate left two men dead. It is alleged the deceased and the assailants were at loggerheads after the latter were denied entry to a particular building due to suspicious activities. The two died of excessive bleeding after their efforts to access Mama Lucy Hospital were not successful owing to a go-slow at the hospital.
Pale hospitalini ambako huyu kijana alipelekwa hakuweza kuhudumiwa kwa hospitali ya Mama Lucy. Walisema hawana gloves na alikuwa na bleed sana. Kitambo safi kishe buruburu. Hiyo overbleeding, hiyo kubleed alikuwa na bleed, damu mingi ilimwaika na akaweza kukufa.
The families of the deceased have also faulted Kayole police, saying they have taken too long to arrest their assailants.
Kulingana na wale ambao waliweza kushuhudia haya mauaji, mama ya hawa vijana alikuwa hiyo sehemu. Na mpaka wakati huu ambapo naweza ongea, hakuna yeyote wa hiyo familia ameweza kushikwa.
Elsewhere, in two separate incidents in Kakamega, Malava, two families are in mourning after the death of their kin. In the first incident, a man is alleged to have killed his wife and later killed himself by locking himself in their home and setting it on fire. The second incident has seen an 85-year-old woman killed after being raped by a man in the area.
Kikapu ya mama ya kuenda kanisa. Mama huyo kama alikuwa anaenda kanisa. Huyu mtoto akachomoa kwa nyumba akajifungulia. Akakuja. Karibu afuke hii kanjia kwa kwenda kwa ndugu yake akuje huko, nikaangalia kwa longi tamu iko kwa hii magoti. Lingine iko hapa. Nikaambia yeye usinifikie. Sitaki mcheza yako inafanya hiyo. Kuja akaangalia kwa mtrisha sasa ya Wiru hapo. Akaona mama wamemtunga tamu imelala kwa ukuta huko.
Police have launched investigations into the matter. Caroline Kamau reporting for Channel 1 Lunchtime News.
Thank you, Caroline Kamau, for that report. Remember, we are streaming this live for you on Facebook and on YouTube as well. And I appreciate Brian Wamalwa, you're watching from Naivasha, and Juan Davis Stark, you're watching us from Kamuivini Wote constituency, or Watai, watching us from Siaya County. Continue interacting with us online at KBC Channel 1. Now, moving on, a section of parents from Isiolo County have decried concern over a proposal to reopen schools in October. The parents are expressing their reservations, stating that the country is not out of the woods yet with the COVID-19 pandemic, adding that the move would be an ambush to the parents.
Just a day after the Ministry of Education ordered both primary and secondary school teachers to report back to their respective learning institutions by September 28th ahead of the eventual reopening of schools, a section of parents from Isiolo County has opposed the move, saying there is need to ensure the COVID-19 curve is fully flattened before reopening of learning institutions.
We have deliberated on this as a committee, and we are therefore now asking our teachers to report back to schools on Monday, the 28th of September, to prepare for the eventual opening of schools.
Msimamo yetu kama wazazi, sisi tungetaka shule ifunguliwe vile rais walisema January.
Led by Isiolo Parents Association Chairman Ismail Ali Galma, the group stated that there was need to put in place precautionary measures so as to curb the spread of COVID-19 among learners.
Ile preparedness ya serikali kwa mashule ambayo wanasema tunafanya preparedness, ukiangalia hakuna preparedness yote imefanywa, hakuna hata moja. Ukiangalia in terms of water, maji, shule tuko na shida ya maji mpaka sasa.
Itayarisha lazima kwanza mtu atakuwa na pesa, na sasa tunajua hali vile imeharibika, wazazi wameumia. Sasa sekta mingi wazazi wanategemea mambo ya pesa, wanakuta COVID imesimamisha kila kitu.
The group adding that there is need to allocate more time to parents who may not be prepared for the reopening due to the adverse effects of COVID-19.
Ukiangalia COVID economy impact yake imeaffect sana watu wengi sana kwa wako kwa kazi saizi. Tangu COVID ilipatikana hadi saizi watu wengi wako kwa kazi.
Meanwhile, an initiative that seeks to provide sanitary towels to underprivileged girls has been launched in Ololulunga Ward in Narok South Sub-County. The initiative, dubbed Sanitary Pads Drive, is aimed at providing sanitary towels for girls in the county whose parents cannot afford the commodity. Spearheaded by churches, traders and teachers of Ololulunga Ward, the initiative will see over 500 girls benefit.
Hawa wasichana wetu ndio maisha yetu. Tukiwaharibia maisha, basi sisi mbeleni tutakosa maisha mzuri.
Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Jackie Wambiru.
And a group of retired civil servants in Hola, Tana River County, has accused the Postal Corporation of Kenya of alleged loss of their pension arrears. The group pointing out they had been receiving their monies through the Hola branch, but in the past 5 months, nothing has been forthcoming.
In Hola, Tana River County, this group of elderly people has convened at the local Post Kenya for their monthly due. The group, comprising of retired civil servants aged between 65 and 80 years, is accusing the corporation of alleged theft of their pension.
Mwezi wa tano pesa payroll zimerundikana hapa lakini sisi hatupati pesa yetu. Ukinapewa pesa kidogo ya mwezi mmoja unaambiwa ngoja.
Pasipo chakula ugonjwa unazidi. Kwa hivyo leo sitarudi bila shilingi hapa. Tumechoka. Tunataka haki yetu. Tunaitaka tuijue kama pesa ya pension ya mume wangu ama ya watu wetu. Sote tuliofika hapa. Tuwazee, tule nini, tuvae nini.
According to the group, after they noticed their arrears were missing for months, they sought audience from the National Treasury, where they learned that their monies had been released. The pensioners pointing out that they have not received their pension for the last 5 months.
Hivi sasa hii na miezi minne sijapata pension. Nitakula nini mimi nyumbani? Sijui pension yangu inaenda wapi au inaliwa na nani? Sijui.
Tumejaza form si mara moja si mara mbili. Zaidi ya mara 10 tumejaza, lakini hakuna action inachukuliwa. Kwa hivyo sisi tumekuja hapa tuulize pesa yetu inakwamia wapi.
The group is now appealing to the government to intervene and help them get their pension arrears. Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Jackie Wambiru.
It's now time for us to focus on some business news. Now, despite the negative impact of COVID-19 that has negatively impacted incomes for households, luxury brands in Kenya say demand has been on the increase. The demand for some products is said to have shot up so much that it has a challenge meeting the market needs. Betty Kiptum spoke with Alexander Helene, Eastern Africa market manager at Moet and Hennessy, and filed the following report.
Kenya's high-end market has been seeing a steady growth. Luxury brands took a gamble on this and it seems to be paying off. In the alcoholic drinks segment, some brands have registered huge demand.
Sure, and even such big demands that when my company produces a certain quantity of cognac, we are not even able to serve the demand. So we don't have enough liquid. Yes. So we are at that level, which is quite difficult to produce enough for Kenyan market.
Hennessy, which is celebrating 150 years of Hennessy OX, its flagship cognac, says the increased demand is partly driven by a better understanding of brands, as well as mentorship and tasting sessions.
We do a lot of tasting and trainings, because again, our brand is a matter of knowing what you drink. When you know what you drink, which is a 30 years old or a 15 years old, or 7 years old with a VS, you need to understand what you drink. When you understand what you drink, you have much more pleasure by drinking it. Why do you pay an expensive bottle? Well, there's always a reason. It's a luxury brand.
The COVID-19 pandemic has impacted the luxury brand sales, and like all other players in the industry, they await the reopening of entertainment joints.
Our drinks are here to be enjoyed, to have company, to share experience. This is all about our brands. So yes, of course, we've been affected, and like other companies, unfortunately. Well, we're waiting for this bad period to end, and bit by bit we'll come back, and I hope that we'll be at the table with friends soon and enjoying a bottle of anything.
Luckily for the company, their products have a longer shelf life. Betty Kiptum, Channel 1 Business.
And the Kenya Charity Sweepstakes has embarked on a series of charitable activities in the slums with an aim of fulfilling its corporate social responsibility, while at the same time helping families in slums deal with harsh economic times occasioned by the coronavirus pandemic. The organization was in Korogosho slums in Nairobi, where it donated foodstuff and other non-perishable food items to families whose breadwinners were affected by the pandemic.
According to the Betting, Lotteries and Gaming Act, lotteries are required to channel 25% of their gross proceeds to charitable activities. The contribution to charitable activities is a condition for the lottery license. The Kenya Charity Sweepstakes officials were in Korogosho slums in Nairobi for charity activities. Here, officials from the farm met two differently abled youth and offered them an opportunity to join the company.
Hiyo kazi imenifanya naweza lipa rent, naweza buy food, naweza pia tumia wazazi wangu pesa ushago wapate food.
In the past, I applied for job, but due to my disability, I did not get the job.
The two noted it had been difficult to get any form of employment because of their condition, and anytime they would get a call for an interview, their disability would become a hindrance. The two will now be part of the customer care desk.
Some good news there. Now we want to focus on more business news. Sugarcane farmers under the Kenya Sugarcane Growers Association are seeking to be enjoined in a tussle over the expansive 11,000-acre Miwani Sugar Company nucleus. A farm that had acquired the land through an auction wants to be compensated 10.5 billion shillings. However, sugarcane farmers, through the Kenya Sugarcane Growers Association Secretary General Richard Ogendo, say the demands are meant to slow or block the ongoing process of leasing out to the private sector 5 state-owned sugar companies, among them Miwani Sugar Company.
We want to state in no uncertain terms that this is community land. These communities have not benefited from their land. They gave out their land for a factory to be built, and now there is no factory there.
Now, internationally, an increased demand for second-hand cars has been registered in Turkey as high cost of new cars pushes customers toward the used car market, with a growing number of people avoiding public transportation after the COVID-19 outbreak. Salesmen at The Tech, a second-hand car shop with over 20-year history, say their turnover has soared since the outbreak of coronavirus. Here are the details of this and other stories from across the borders.
In previous years, only 8 to 10 second-hand cars were sold every month at these car bazaar, but this has since doubled to about 20 to 25 cars. The salesmen are now grappling to meet the pent-up demand, as they are now pressed to source more second-hand cars for their growing client base. As second-hand cars see rising demand, their prices have risen in proportion to scarcity. So far, the price of used cars in Turkey has remained high for several months. Customers say because of the pandemic, most European car companies stopped production because of change in strategy and cash flow challenges. Elsewhere, thousands of volunteers in Cape Town, South Africa, descended on the city's famed Hout Bay beach with refuse bags in hand, with a mission to rid the shore of harmful trash as part of the country's annual International Coastal Cleanup Day. With a coastline that stretches more than 2,800 kilometers, South Africa boasts some of the best beaches in the world. Many of them are situated in the Cape region, but they often need a thorough cleanup. Over the years, the annually commemorated day has galvanized a movement of concerned beachgoers who have come to play their part in clearing the pollution littering the shoreline. Ocean pollution has become a source of concern as the sea has become a dumping ground for all types of waste, which harm the marine life. Finally, a shortage of petrol has persisted in Syria for over 3 weeks, forcing most petrol stations to close and compelling residents to queue for hours for refueling. At a petrol station in downtown Damascus, a queue of vehicles waiting to refuel stretched for about 3 kilometers. Despite the heat, most of the drivers rolled down their car windows rather than use air conditioners so as to save fuel. The fuel shortage has heavily affected local residents' daily life and work. As the shortage of petrol persists, litres. The Syrian government has limited the quotas of private vehicles and taxis to 30 litres every 7 days and 40 litres every 4 days respectively, which has forced many people to give up driving. Betty Kiptum, Channel 1 Business.
Now, the latest in the world of sports is that former English Premier League champions Manchester City got their 2020-2021 campaign off to an impressive start following a 3-1 win over Wolverhampton Wanderers. Meanwhile, Manchester United travel to Bedfordshire tonight to take on Championship side Luton Town as the Carabao Cup third-round fixtures commence.
Last year's English Premier League Player of the Season, Kevin De Bruyne,
scored on the last day of last season in the Premier League. Can he open the scoring on City's opening day of the new campaign? There's your answer.
An inspired De Bruyne would 12 minutes later set up for...
And now on to some political developments in the country. Women leaders have come out to strongly support Chief Justice David Maraga's call for dissolution of Parliament for failing to enact the gender parity law. Speaking in Kajiado, the women MPs from across the political divide say there is need to respect the Constitution. Meanwhile, in Kilifi County, political leaders led by Governor Amason Kingi have lauded the President and the national government for initiating various development projects within the devolved unit, among them roads.
Women MPs who have been trying in vain to push for the passage of gender parity law in the male-dominated parliament are now praising Chief Justice David Maraga for advising the president to dissolve the parliament.
Maraga is standing on the right side of history. Yes. Why? Yes. Because we are celebrating 10 years of Katiba. Yes. Every other provision, every small provision, including land, including, think about it, equality, every other provision has been implemented by a law, except the 2/3 gender rule. And today we celebrate the history that indeed Maraga is about to leave, but I'm hoping and praying he will leave and we will remember him.
Speaking in Kajiado during the community traditional ceremony, the leaders said the decision by the CJ was time and constitutionally right.
What we would urge is that Parliament finds a way to progressively achieve the gender rule. Yes.
Na kila wakati tunapopiga kura kuhusiana na sheria hii, watu wanachukulia ati ni sheria ya kina mama. Si sheria ya kina mama, ni sheria ya kina mama na kina baba.
Elsewhere, leaders in Kilifi County have lauded the government for initiating various development projects within the devolved unit, chief among them roads. The leaders, who included Governor Amason Kingi, Women Representative Gertrude Mbeyu, and Lands Chief Administrative Secretary Gideon Mungaro, said the various road projects would open up the county for development.
Leo tumemkaribisha rais wetu wa Jamhuri ya Kenya katika jimbo la Kilifi. Alikuwa katika ziara ya kukagua barabara hii ya kutoka Malindi kuelekea Salagate. Na katika ziara hii tumekuwa na wakati kama viongozi ya kuzungumza naye mambo kadhaa ya kimaendeleo, hususan mambo ya barabara.
Basically Kilifi County tukipata mwezi mwingine mmoja kabla tuje na rais, we will have raised from the previous 21,000 to 40,000.
Kenyan African National Union leaders have in the meanwhile asked locals in Baringo County to support Gideon Moi presidential bid even as the race of 2022 gains momentum. Speaking in Taiti East, the leaders asked the locals to rally behind the KANU chairman in 2022.
Na si atuwatuge nyote wanafunua yeye. Hata mimi ni mtuge na watuge wengine tunasaidiana kufunika hiyo mtoto uchi.
Baada ya Uhuru Kenyatta ni nani? Baada ya Uhuru Kenyatta ni nani? Baada ya Uhuru Kenyatta ni nani? Na Mwenyezi Mungu amesikia.
That political wrap puts a curtain on our lunchtime bulletin. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Serfine Achieng Ouma and our sign language interpreter has been Lucy Mwaura. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Vera Beauty College.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College, with branches in Nairobi, Eldoret, Thika and Meru. Did you know that we are a TVET approved institution? We offer courses in fashion design, interior design in soft furnishing, event decoration, flower arrangement, event planning, hairdressing, barbering and dreadlocks, beauty therapy, makeup, nail technology, spa massages, teaching skills, TOT, solo business management, and many more. Register now and visit our website on www.verabeautycollege.com. You can also call on 0725 923 550 Nairobi branch, 0728 087 689 Eldoret branch, 0722 22 7428 Thika branch, 0725 000 706 Meru branch. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, a TVET approved institution.
This Tuesday on KBC Channel 1.
Lijua mengine
maliza hiyo sentensi.
Hakuna.
Julie is very privileged that you could take some time off your busy schedule.
And it still amazes me how clear yours is, even to join a tea party for women.
More cake? Anyone?
Now you understand why I can't believe that it's true?
This isn't possible.
Can't you understand, Juana? He ran off with that stupid girl.
Yes, that's right. That woman lived across the hall from me. She had come from Tijuana looking for a Ramon, and I never thought she was actually looking for your son.
In love with Ramon.
Welcome. Embakasi utawala tuko locked. Ungem Utanyaururu Kasuku Massive.
Jeshi ya Nyeri Maua Nakuru ko locked mbaya.
Kigumo Ward na ambao wote wako ndani ya KBC Channel 1.
Akulaliki Wednesday bila the ref.
Mbotela Outer Idara Kitengela.
Kiambu County 33 Pipeline Meru anawakilisha.
Rongai Maboxa pale go down. Karatina Outer Mlolongo wana enjoy show. Lare Sub County Outer Githurai 45. Lanet Barracks tuko ndani yake. Okongo Outer Carnation Maragwa Seti Nairobi.
Thika wako locked mbaya sana.
Watu wangu wa Nakuru Ngwaro.
Outer Gilgil live kutoka Mazeras Bahati Massive. Embo
Thika Massive.
Siaya Shikambi Kakamega Bungoma County.
Kusia Boda
Kisumu City.
Malindi yote iko ndani ya the ref.
When I'm in Kenya, I tune in to the rave. Get your mind brave, focus, conscious.
Kenya,
East Africa.
Right.
Keep it locked.
Na msibabaishwe na